Hello, my name is Celeste Intwin. I am an attorney licensed to practice in the state of Illinois, focusing on general legal practice, automation, and data analytics in the legal field. Today, we're going to be focusing on keeping jails drug-free, a data analysis for alternative sentencing in the state of Illinois. This is a basic linear analysis of Illinois drug policy. In the 1970s, Nixon declared a war on drugs. And to be honest, who can really argue that en masse drug use is good for society? In many cases, it is not. But if we are a society in Illinois which seeks to punish and sometimes rehabilitate criminals while deducting income tax from its residents, then we have to consider all avenues and the reasons behind our drug policies today. That's not to say that Nixon had a direct effect on drug policies in Illinois, but federal mandates have a direct and often indirect effect on Illinois policies as a whole. Let's look at Nixon and John Ehrlichman. John Ehrlichman was an aide to the Nixon administration, and in an interview with Dan Baum, he came out as saying that the war on drugs was not necessarily about keeping Americans drug-free, but more of a way to get rid of political opponents. He said that the war on drugs was used for vilifying and jailing the anti-war movement, white, often, pot-smoking hippies, and African Americans in general. By tying the anti-war movement, the hippies, and others with marijuana use, and African Americans with not just marijuana use, but also heroin use and possession, we as a society have been able to push a lot of people into the jail system. Many of these people are nonviolent offenders. Let's move on to FBI and the Bureau of Justice Statistics numbers, which bears out this argument. From 1982 to 2007, there was a 250% increase in the number of defendants arrested for drugs. Mere possession is by far the biggest categories for these arrests. In essence, in the eyes of the criminal justice system, you don't have to hold drugs in your hand or have them in your pocket in order to go to jail. All that you have to do is have drugs be around you. For instance, if it's under your car seat, under the sofa cushion, many different instances in which drugs are not directly on your person can lead to years of incarceration, years without freedom, years without being able to acquire gainful employment or start a business, a legal business, and often years without family and friends. We are at a new stage in understanding drugs, the history of drug policies, and how it affects our communities, both here in Illinois and throughout the rest of the United States. One can even say that drug sentencing has failed. But I'll say it's failed in many cases. I mean, even Illinois admits that drugs are so pervasive and so widely used that it is unnecessary and unrealistic to put a large segment of the Illinois population in jail or prisons, because putting people in jail for possessing drugs, especially weed or cannabis, marijuana, however you want to label cannabidiol substance, is unsuccessful. So that's why we have these new cannabis laws in the state of Illinois. And one could even make an argument that the same holds for other substances, controlled substances, such as cocaine or heroin. But that is a debate for another day. Drug sentencing for possession, in many cases where people spend long periods of time in jail, seems to have failed us and is expensive. Under Illinois criminal law, a person can be arrested and jailed for up to 30 years or more, depending on how much they possess of a controlled substance. Even anabolic steroids, you can be classified as a felon, which has a lot of effects on your rights, sometimes where you can live or work, how you can operate in society, and how you can interact with your family and friends. If you're unlucky as a defendant, if the state classifies your property as drug paraphernalia, they can seize it. And you probably won't get it back. But even more than that, we need to look at the cost to the Illinois taxpayer. As we see from 1989 to 2009, the cost of housing drug offenders has gone up tremendously, almost fourfold. And as a percentage of the total cost of housing offenders to the Illinois taxpayer, we see that drug offenders are eating up anywhere between 11 and 26% of those housing costs. These costs are in the tune of approximately $300 million a year, which is almost a third or a quarter, depending on how you want to look at the numbers, of the cost of $1.1 billion to house all inmates in the state of Illinois. And this is, at an estimate of $25,000 as a base cost to house these inmates. There are other additional administrative costs which need to be factored in. Why is this so important? For some people, $100 or even $40 is not a lot of money. But for most Americans, $100, $80, even $40 is a lot of money because most people cannot afford a $500 emergency. So why are we paying so much to receive so little when, even as the state of Illinois has admitted that much of this pervasive use of controlled substances or possession leading to incarceration has had little effect in terms of deterring people from using those substances or possessing them. And now we can look at this from a data analysis perspective. We can simplify how much our legal policies impact our wallet with a simple equation or mathematical expression. And we see that in Model 1, when we multiply the cost or the base cost of housing inmates by the number plus the extra admin costs and divide that by the Illinois population, we are at a level that we no longer need to be. It's as simple as saying x minus 1 as a basic equation. We're looking at the total cost to all Illinois residents, not even taxpayers who will pay more. We need to move to Model 2. This is a tax-saving model for the residents of Illinois, and also a boon to those who seek to turn their lives around, even after getting wrapped up in illicit substances, whether by possession, use, or distribution. In Model 2, we see that we are charging Illinois residents less by deducting the cost that we would otherwise use to house drug offenders. We need to move from Model 1 to Model 2 because the variable D is a huge portion of what we pay in taxes to house inmates. And it no longer has to be like that. We can use these savings for other things. As the holidays draw near, we could use it to buy gifts for our children, our family members, our pets, friends. We can give to those who are destitute, who have not been as fortunate as some of the rest of us, and who unfortunately are either homeless, living at the poverty level or below, and are often wrapped up in these criminal policies. Thank you for your time, and stay tuned for the next series of data analytics in the law. Thank you.